Hello animation fans, my name is Lily and today I'm going to be telling you the history of the hit Nickelodeon television show Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump into the history of Jimmy Neutron and how that swirly-headed scientist came to be. First off, we need to take a look at the two geniuses behind the Boy Genius, John A. Davis and his colleague Keith Alcorn. Davis, the official creator of the show, got his first taste for animation after viewing a film entitled Icarus at an animation festival as a child. After watching the claymation film, he began to connect how the filmmakers made their piece from solid, inanimate objects that turned into moving objects that could tell a story. He went home and borrowed his parents' home movie camera and began to animate his own action figures. In high school, he even founded a film club to fund making his own movies. Davis also majored in film in college. His student films typically consisted of live action and stop motion genres, and he often combined the two. The young creative was fascinated by CG when it first debuted, however, he still found stop motion to be his favorite method of animation. This fascination in CG very much foreshadowed his future career. Davis first met Alcorn as a co-worker at K&H Productions in Dallas, Texas. K&H soon went out of business, but both creators realized they enjoyed working together and they didn't want to move to LA or change careers, so they founded DNA Productions in Dallas. They got their start in the 80s by splitting freelance gigs, but soon moved on to create corporate films, commercials, and completed any other odd jobs that the Dallas area had to offer. Since their conception, DNA Productions had been workshopping the idea of making a story revolving around a boy genius who ran away from home in a homemade rocket. After receiving a copy of Lightwave animation software, they dusted off an old script and storyboard so they could officially begin working on a 40-second short called Runaway Rocket Boy. This short followed Johnny Quasar, who flew his rocket ship into space. Davis got the idea for the name of the character from working for his dad's construction company as a young man. He gravitated towards geeky-type interests, so John quickly became Johnny Quasar, Space Cadet. Davis actually liked the name and initially bestowed it upon his cartoon alter ego. In the short, as seen on screen, Quasar basically introduced himself in a rocket ship with a wave, dodged a few incoming asteroids, and disappeared into the depths of space. This short actually inspired what would become the Gotta Blast intro of the actual series. Soon the team entered Runaway Rocket Boy in a Lightwave competition at the largest 3D software and animation convention at the time, SIGGRAPH. They won 2 Wavy Awards, one for Best Character Animation and the other for Best in Show. With 2 awards in hand, the short gained quite a bit of attention. Ace Ventura writer and director Steve Odekirk in particular took a keen interest to the short after finding it in New Tech magazine. His eye was caught by the fun character and unique style. He was a huge believer in CGI being used for TV and called up DNA Productions to ask for a tape of Runaway Rocket Boy and anything else the company had produced. Once he saw what the company had to offer, he kindly offered to help the Texan team with pitching the short as a potential series to studios. Odekirk and his company O Entertainment also assisted DNA in refining character designs, especially for Johnny Quasar. The character initially adorned a lab coat, but after O Entertainment hopped on board, the coat was dropped and the famous Jimmy Neutron hairdo we all love was added. Alcorn also came up with the idea of giving Jimmy a big head and big hair to represent his large brain. The series' name was changed from Runaway Rocket Boy to The Adventures of Johnny Quasar. In the fall of 1995, a show Bible, storyboard, and background information were ready and the team began to pitch to studios. The first visit ended in success. Nickelodeon was that first studio. They admired how the futuristic and retro style were mixed and thought the brightness of the pitch was right for their company. The studio ordered a 13-minute pilot. After months of extra development, the pilot officially began production in late 1997. Odekirk also mentioned a feature film during the first Nick studio pitch, so when Nickelodeon visited Texas, they were very interested in the idea of producing a movie. Davis was extremely excited and suggested to go ahead and release the feature before the series. This would give Johnny Quasar a film introduction full of feature film level quality. Initially, Nick was worried about building a fan base for a feature without the aid of a series, so they decided to air several shorts prior to the release of the movie. In the fall of 1999, production began on the script of the feature. The world of Jimmy Neutron and the recurring characters really became more refined at this stage. Nick loved the boy genius who was intelligent but was still a young boy who was relatable to a young audience. The team began brainstorming. Everyone was fascinated by the idea of Johnny being able to create any sort of gadget. That led them to expand his love for space and rockets. Sheen Estevez, Jimmy Neutron's best friend, also did a lot of changing throughout the developmental stages. Davis initially wanted Sheen to be a character of Japanese descent. Sheen is even named after a Japanese man who worked at DNA Productions. Casting had a lot of issues finding a Japanese voice actor, so they hired Jeff Garcia, who voiced the best friend for the feature, the series, and the spin-off, Planet Sheen. It only took 3 months to write the script, and in the beginning of 2000, Nick gave the green light for Davis and Alcorn to begin production. DNA Productions now had 120 employees due to a partnership with Paramount and planned to finish production in 2 years. They used both Lightwave and Messiah programming for the feature. These were both consumer softwares, which was unheard of at the time. John Davis found himself in legal issues because the name Johnny Quasar was too similar to both Captain Quasar and Johnny Quest. On the spot, he was given only 24 hours to dream up a brand new name to be the front of his cartoon series and feature. Stressed, Davis and his wife took their dog for a walk and began brainstorming. He liked the name Proton, but in the end, the two decided on the name Jimmy Neutron, James Isaac Neutron, legally. In November of 2000, a trailer was released. It played before Rugrats in Paris. The trailer had a great response. It ranked number 2 for all videos on Nick.com. The trailer also advertised during the 14th Annual Kids' Choice Awards. Jimmy Neutron was even able to present an award on screen. That year, the KCAs was viewed by approximately 4.3 million children ages 2 to 11, 1.9 million teens aged 12 to 17, and 4.4 million adults. On February 5th, 2001, the first short called New Dog Old Tricks aired on the network. The short also advertised JimmyNeutron.com for kids to play games, read the Nick magazine, and read a long-running comic strip. Neutron also got out in front of a lot of other audiences. In July 2001, he was the animated spokesman in Trident gum commercials. Nick also signed with Jive Records to release the soundtrack to the film under Nick's new record label. The soundtrack featured artists such as Britney Spears, NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, and Aaron Carter. After years from the release of the short to film production, the feature debuted on December 21st, 2001. The movie did so well, it even received an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature, along with Pixar's Monsters Incorporated and the winner, DreamWorks' Shrek. Long-awaited series finally debuted on July 20th, 2002. 11-year-olds Jimmy, Carl, Sheen, and Cindy from Retroville graced the small screen for 3 seasons with 61 episodes. Jimmy went through a few changes. From the film, he became more confident and arrogant and less clumsy and naive. One of the show's biggest reasons for success was their unique art style, their dedication to smart characters and storyline, and Davis's commitment to audience reception. He often allowed the children of employees to come to the studio and watch unfinished episodes. He would take notes on comments and facial expressions, and then play with his scenes. Jimmy Neutron was also able to team up with Nickelodeon Golden Boy, Timmy Turner, of the Fairly OddParents, for 3 crossover episodes entitled The Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. The first was released in 2004, and the final 2 in 2006. The 5 main Retroville characters collided with Timmy, Cosmo, Wanda, AJ, and Chester. These 3 episodes were a combination of the 2D animation style of the Fairly OddParents and the 3D animation style of Jimmy Neutron. This mixing of techniques was interesting to watch, yet it brought a challenge to both studios. Not only did they both need to collaborate and improve scripts and other details, but the animation done in one studio couldn't be matched in the other due to dimensions. DNA Productions would have to rotoscope some work that the Fairly OddParents crew had already done. The 2 shows also had differences in cadences of movements. Timmy moved faster, yet Jimmy was more steady and less snappy. They also had to worry about basic character design. Jimmy and his friends had to fit in Dimsdale, and Timmy had to blend in Retroville. Jimmy Neutron was given a smaller body and bigger head to fit the Fairly OddParents style. Although it was a hassle, the episodes did very well. They got to combine Jimmy's average 3.4 million viewers with Timmy's 4 million. Basically, this show was very innovative and popular. Producers at Nick originally wanted a 4th season, but after the less than ideal reception of DNA's Ant Bully film, the production company went out of business. This potential 4th season was hoping to explore more serious themes than the first 3. They planned on bringing back Evil Jimmy, exploring Cindy and Betty's relationship, and making Jimmy and Cindy a couple. In 2010 until 2013, Nick aired a Sheen Estevez spin-off run by Alcorn called Planet Sheen. Since the final episode, Davis is now an astrophotographer, Odekirk has worked on Back at the Barnyard, Evan Almighty, and helped Alcorn on the spinoff, and Alcorn has most recently worked on a project called Allegories. Now for just 2 random fun facts before I go. Goddard the dog is named after scientist Robert H. Goddard. He was the first to create a rocket that ran on liquid fuel. Iconic Paul the monkey from the end credits was based off their first employee named Paul Clairholt. Clairholt, Davis, and Alcorn were all in caricature after making a demo, so they were all animated. Paul said, "That's our demo," and then he randomly said, "I'm Paul." The trio thought it was funny, so they ran with Paul the monkey as their company mascot, following the Jimmy Neutron and Sheen series.